In this video, I'm going to show you how to make freeze-dried gold. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're outside. It's more than just a change of pace. The real reason I'm out here is because right now in the studio, my freeze dryer is cranking away. Now, when I went to set up the freeze dryer in the studio space, because that was really the only place I had room for something that big, I didn't think about the fact that there were going to be times when I was going to be trying to run the freeze dryer and I needed to make a video. Well, it just so happens that this video is about that freeze dryer. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make freeze-dried gold. Well, not literally freeze-dried gold, but freeze-dried stuff that's kind of worth its weight in gold, which freeze-dried stuff's really lightweight, so there's not a lot of gold. Never mind. So here's the thing. Recently, I was online and I was looking at freeze-dried products and I came across freeze-dried hamburger patties. I just about choked when I discovered these things because the company that sells them charges almost $40 for 6 hamburger patties. Now, yes, they are shelf-stable patties that are probably good for 20, 25, 30 years. That's a hard price to justify. So I started thinking, can I make my own? Can I produce something that is worth that much money with my freeze dryer? And then is it gonna be any good? Is it even gonna be edible? So I went to my local Walmart and I picked up this 12-pack of great value hamburger patties. Now these look just like the patties that you see in the picture of the freeze-dried product. So my guess is this is where these companies start, with hamburgers just like this. Now I paid about $13 for a pack of 12. I also made sure that I was picking out the lower fat version of the burger. And the reason I point that out is that with freeze drying, just like with dehydrating, fat is your enemy. The more fat something has in it, the less likely it is to maintain a long shelf life. Fat is the first thing to go bad. There's a couple of things that will make any food go bad, whether it's freeze-dried, dehydrated, what have you. That's fat and liquid. Freeze-drying gets the liquid out, but it can't do anything about the fat. So we have to start with the lowest fat version that we can if we want these to be good for more than a few months. Now, yes, you can get the higher fat version. It'll have a better flavor. You can freeze dry those, but you're probably not gonna be able to trust them for more than a few months to a year. So I decided to go with the low fat version. They cost a little bit more, but I think it's gonna be worth it in the long run. Now you can see as I load up the trays with these things, they do take up a lot of space. Now I have the small Harvest Right freeze dryer and I can only do 3 per tray when I'm freeze drying these burgers. So I can put the entire pack in with one load, but that's all I'm gonna be able to freeze dry is burgers. About 2 weeks ago, I loaded up my first batch of these things. And then for this video, I loaded up the rest. So I got them in the freeze dryer and I let them run for about 24 hours. And what I got on the other end was this ridiculously lightweight thing that looked like a hamburger patty, but it sure didn't feel like one. So once the patties were done, I put them in a Mylar bag and vacuum sealed them. I wanted to make sure that these things had every chance to have the maximum shelf life possible, keeping the extra oxygen out, keeping moisture out, and making sure that everything that was going to deteriorate these burgers was gone. So when the first batch was done, I packaged one up so that I could prepare it for this video. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't taking one directly out of the freeze dryer. I wanted it to have been sitting on the shelf for at least a little while. So here's my little hamburger patty. No fancy packaging or anything on this because I knew I was just gonna be tearing this open and cooking it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go back in the studio. I'm gonna cook this thing and I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna see what I end up with on the other side, or if this is gonna send me to the other side. Let's open this up and take a look at this hamburger patty that's been sitting in this package, shelf stable, for a couple of weeks. It smells perfectly good. Still looks perfectly good, even though it kind of looks and feels like cardboard. So let's prepare our hamburger patty. Let me show you how this is gonna work. All right, so I've just got some warm water. I'm not gonna use hot water because I just want it to reconstitute the burger. I don't want it to boil it in the package. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add some of this warm water into the package. And with something like this, you can't put too much water in it. If you're trying to mix up something like pasta or something like that, you gotta be careful how much water you use. But when you're reconstituting meats like this, you can't add too much. I mean, I can add too much that I can't close the package, but as far as what it's going to do with this meat, can't overdo it. So now I'm going to get all the air that I can out so that we can make sure that the burger is properly and fully exposed to the water. Then we're going to zip up the top and we're just going to let that reconstitute for a little while. Now I'm just using water for this. If I really wanted to give it the best chance at having good flavor, I'd reconstitute it with beef stock. I'd probably also add in some seasoning, some salt, some pepper, some Worcestershire, something like that, to really give it the maximum flavor and the maximum chance to be as good as possible. But I want to be sure that we're not cheating this any. I want to see how this is going to turn out if I just put back the water that the freeze dryer took out. So now let's go back into the studio. As soon as this is ready, we're going to fry it up. We're going to eat it. Well, I'm going to fry it up. I'm going to eat it. Y'all don't have to. All right, let's head back inside. We're going to put just a shot of vegetable oil in here, just to give it a little bit of fat to help it cook. And before that oil gets too hot, I'm going to add my patty in here because it's got a lot of liquid in it right now, and I don't want to end up with a major problem in my hands. Oh, look at that. Hit it with a little black pepper. A little salt. I want to make sure this has as good of a chance to be like a hamburger I would normally make, so I'm not going to cheat myself out of seasoning. All right, let's flip this over. Go a little on this side because, much like Emerald, I don't like one-sided tasting food. Let's turn our heat down a little bit here, so let it cook slowly. I don't want to dry it out by trying to cook it too fast. Seems to be cooking up fairly nicely. Now I'm adding seasoning, but I'm not going to put any condiments on this, at least not to start with. I want to be able to taste the burger with just the salt and pepper and see what we ended up with. Ooh, that is really starting to smell good. I have a feeling the family's going to come sticking their faces in the door here in a minute. Yeah, you definitely want to add oil when cooking these. I feel like if you don't, they're going to dry out really fast. It's one thing about having lower fat meat, but also, you know, we pulled all the fluids out of this thing and then added some back. Now I'm going to add a piece of cheese on here. That'll be the only extra thing that I'm going to do because I would not be eating a regular hamburger without cheese. All right, it's time. Let's plate this up. All right, so there we are. Our freeze-dried and reconstituted and cooked hamburger patty. Let's give this a try. See if this was worth doing or if I just threw a bunch of money away. You know, a lot of times when I try experiments like this, I'm a little concerned about it, but I'm really excited about trying this burger. Here we go. Bon appetit. That's not a bad burger. Looking at it, I can tell you I overcooked it. I was nervous about not cooking it enough, and in the process, ended up overdoing it. So it's a little bit dry, but it's not dry from the freeze drying process. It's dry because I cooked out so much of the liquid that I put back into it. But you can tell it's fully done. The flavor is great. It reminds me of the hamburgers that you get like at a ball game. You know, the ones where the ball team parents are in there cooking burgers on a grill. Most of them have no idea what they're doing, but it kind of has that kind of flavor and texture to it. So it's very nostalgic. Let me throw on a little bit of ketchup, see if that might help a little bit with the dryness. Yeah, folks, that ain't half bad. Going back, I definitely would cook it a little bit lower and slower, but other than that, I've got no complaints. Now, I know somebody's gonna come into the comments talking about how overdone it looks. That's my fault. I got a little overzealous and had that heat up way too high. However, with that being said, even then, it's still not a bad burger. All right, so let's do the math on this. This pack of 12 burgers costs $13. So that's $1.08 per burger. Now it costs about $2 a day to run my freeze dryer. So that's a grand total of 16 cents to freeze dry each burger. So that's like $2.24 per burger to make these. You know what the math works out to on those freeze dried burgers I showed you earlier? That's scary for all kinds of reasons. Look, I'd pay $2.25 for that burger any day of the week. And the best part is, I don't have to worry if the power goes out, my freezer dies, all of this stuff is shelf stable. It's just gonna be sitting there waiting for the day I need it. And I don't have to get rid of it after 6 months. This stuff is gonna be good for several years. Now with the particular fat content of the burgers I chose, I don't know exactly what its shelf life is gonna be. If somebody knows better than me, please put a comment down below and tell me about it. In fact, if you like this content, go ahead and give me a thumbs up on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell to be made aware of all upcoming videos. And as usual, just like I am feeding myself with this burger, feed the algorithm. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this little experiment. Tell me what other things I should freeze dry, reconstitute, and cook. Is there anything out there that you're curious about as far as how it would turn out freeze dried and then reconstituted? Now, I know that freeze dryers are not cheap. It's not a technology that everybody can have in their own home. Heck, if I wasn't running this channel and had it as a tax write-off, I probably wouldn't have one either. But if you can find a way to swing it, or if you know somebody that's got one that's willing to help you out, go to Walmart, buy a couple of packs of these burgers, tell them they can keep one and give you one back. A good friend would do that for you. This one's been a lot of fun. I've been wanting to do this experiment for a while now, and I just wasn't sure what to expect. I've been doing all the little freeze drying shorts, showing different things you can do, but I wanted to make this one a little more of a thorough examination of the process, just so you can see exactly why somebody would buy a freeze dryer. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of interesting snacks and stuff, and a lot of people think that's a novelty where you can freeze dry candy, fruits, things like that. But why would you really want one? Why would you want to spend the money to get one of those things if they cost that much? Because I can do things like this. I can make lightweight food that I can take on the trail if I'm ultralight backpacking or something like that, or if I just don't want to take a cooler with me. I can freeze dry everything I need to prepare my meals while I'm at camp. That burger didn't stand a chance. This one has been so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Don't forget to come around Sunday for my regular content. And until the next one, prepare for the world that you live in, not the one you wish existed. We'll see you around.